Richard Fredrickson here with you, and we are in the 160-year-old prison, Joliet Prison. You might know it as the Collins Street Prison. You might know it from the movies as the place where the Blues Brothers went through the Sallyport. Take your choice, take your pick. We're here today, and you're missing it, by the way, and there will be other opportunities, and we'll tell you about that maybe later on in the show. But right now, we are live in Joliet, Illinois, right in front of what was the fire station, believe it or not, and I have with me a special guest, a fellow who has been involved, well, Quinn Adamowski. What is your title here now, sir? Is it warden?
No, definitely not the warden. I'm vice president of the museum board, and I co-chair the committee on the museum side with Greg Peerbolt to oversee the operation here.
And you've done a great job, by the way, a fantastic job.
I've only played my part. It's been a community outpour. I'm one small part of a legion of people who have been involved, and I'm just truly thrilled and blessed to be part of this.
And we're going to try to reach as many of those folks as we can. Things will get a little crazy, a little wonderful here because, and Quinn's going to tell you all about what is going to take place as you watch us for the next, could be the next 2 hours here on Channel 6. What is planned for today? Today is August 25th, special day, day in history of Joliet, here at the Joliet Collins Street Prison. What is in store for the folks who come in about another hour or so?
We have an event here. It's the first event that we'll have, hopefully of many. We have 4 bands here. We have beer, we have food, we have wine, we have a special drink. And the whole point of tonight is a fundraiser to add money into the fund for restoration down the line. And we wanted to bring this into the community, into the facility. There's been a lot of news out there, a lot of headlines out there about what we're trying to do. And so the concept is, let's bring the community in to see what's actually happening, to give them a snapshot of what we can do moving forward. So it's our grand opening, so to speak, and we believe that we will have many events like this, smaller events like this, as we move forward.
You bet you will, and you will take advantage of that. I remember back, they had, I don't know, a couple of years ago, they had Representative McGuire involved, and there were other state officials, city officials, county officials, and volunteers talking about this, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, people have been in here since 2007. There was a push to do something with the prison. There was, through the Collins Street Task Force, started in 2011, 2012. And in the last year, we had a major breakthrough. A lot of people put a lot of time and effort and work into this, and they absolutely deserve to be commended. And through the leadership of the city and the volunteers and museum board last summer and into the fall, we kept pushing and pushing, and the city finally got a deal done with the governor's office in December. And we've been in here since January, and in all honesty, I'm still shocked that we're even doing this right now, 8 months in. And really the reason for that is the massive community support in terms of volunteerism. The unions have been our greatest partner. Without them, this could never have happened. And at this point, we have 500 plus people who've put in time here. No pun intended.
I just got that. Just got that.
We've had 500 plus people put in volunteer time here, and we're well over 5,000 hours, and we're well over $500,000 in terms of in-kind donations, material, you name it, it's there. And it's just been a wonderful experience of working together as a community.
Well, Quinn, this gentleman also is an associate principal at one of our schools out here in Will County, and I do want to showcase that as well, because when you talk about volunteers, none of this, what you're going to see and witness for yourself today, this entertainment, there's food trucks out here, there's different entities, and we have some great sponsors that also have kicked in and helped and supported and are here today as well. I saw Jim Mazinga from Hawk Auto is here, and they're one of our sponsors.
They are a grand event sponsor. They are the large event sponsor. Of course, we have Darcy and Lucy Bank and dozens and dozens of other sponsors that have put money into this. We couldn't have the event without them, and we're always thankful to those in the community that support events like this and others to make them a reality.
Yeah, and those names are core sponsors for so many events in the Joliet, Will County area. Wormer Rogers Strana-Ruzon also one of the sponsors, and we're going to run all those sponsors for you. So if we've left any out, we'll make sure that we give them recognition. The entertainment tonight will be starting in about another hour, our time. For you, probably a lot quicker. But who's on tap for tonight?
We have Hot Mess, that's the mayor's band. He's a drummer in the band. M&R Rush. We have Petty Cash, and then we have the Blues Brothers. So we have a good variety of music, mostly dealing with classic rock, and hope to rock the house and maybe hopefully not break any more glass.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting that Quinn, when we were sitting here getting set, I said to him, now be careful because there's glass down here with your feet and your shoes and so forth. And what did you tell me?
What you see here right now is minimal. Anywhere where there's walking paths for people, we've picked up all of that glass. We've literally taken dumpsters full of glass out of here. It's really an unfortunate situation, what transpired here, but we're in a real good position right now to move the ball forward for the site and, you know, provide real tourism dollars to Joliet. So the cleanup effort out here has been just absolutely enormous, and it'll continue after this event. And we have a long ways to go, but where we're at right now, we feel real confident and comfortable with in terms of providing people opportunities here. So a little bit of glass is not going to hurt.
So let's take a look at the vandals and what took place when the city of Joliet said yes to a 5-year lease, and then the museum and the volunteers looked at what we're about to see. That was really something. I mean, Dick Schuster and Millie Schuster were shooting those scenes earlier, and it's just remarkable the disaster this place was, really.
It's unbelievable, and you know, we have some pictures that we're going to include in on the big screen tonight showing before pictures, before we really had an opportunity to get in here. You know, and with the city and the unions and the community volunteers, it's night and day. It's absolutely night and day, and it's just an unbelievable experience, and really, truly look forward to continue working on it as we move forward.
Tell me about your day job.
I'm an associate principal in an alternative school, so any student who is removed from regular education setting due to expulsion, they have the opportunity to work with us, and we do our best to work with them and get them back into the regular education setting. And then we also work with students who are truant and or have school refusal concerns, and we do our best to work with them and provide them a safe, secure environment where they can do what they need to do for themselves while also getting their education so they can become productive members of society.
Great. And while I have you here, there's another person in the family who has been tremendously productive and needs recognition. And who would that be?
Yeah, my wife Catherine is just an absolute rock star as a person, as a best friend, as a wife. Is just somebody I'm so blessed to know her. I'm so blessed to spend every day with her, and she is absolutely a rock in the Joliet community as Deputy Director of Joliet Public Library. She's part of Zonta, she's part of our neighborhood association, Will County Take Back the Night. Blessed to be able to serve on a couple committees with her, and she's a remarkable woman in person.
Yeah, she is. I've worked with her in a couple of our events downtown Joliet, and she's on several of the City Center Partnership committees. And of course, she's very involved with the Joliet Chamber, and we'll be talking with Mary Jaworski and others from the Joliet Chamber, and Greg Peerbolt, who is the director of the Joliet Historical Museum, coming your way in just a moment or two. So don't go away. We are having a great time, and we wish you were down here with us. And this is probably, it will go down in history as one of those pages in the Joliet Historical Museum, and saying on August 25th in 2018, something really big happened, and it was the great Joliet prison break-in.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Mary Jaworski, who is president of the Greater Joliet Region Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know what they would do without the chamber. We have so many different pieces of the puzzle going back, what, 5 or 6 years, I think, when they had the Collins Street prison meetings.
Yes, it was. And it's been a long, long time. I mean, we can go back into the early 90s when they would talk about this, and it wasn't even closed yet. I believe it closed in 2002.
Yeah.
And trying to shed the image of the and I was way younger then, and they would be like, oh, you know, we come with a new image. We got to come with a new image for this. And when we were finally able to turn this around, and the city was able to take this over, not even very long ago, everybody embraced it, and it was really a great piece of history for us. Because if you look, and I don't know if you can walk around and show folks this wonderful land, and the history behind all of this is pretty incredible.
Okay, well, let's do that. Take a tour of some of the area,
Yes.
and we'll be right back. that was pretty good.
Okay.
As promised, it was great. Now, you mentioned, we putting this thing together in a short time. I think we're talking, what, 8 months?
Well, we started. Am I still on TV?
You are.
Oh, okay. I thought we were just chatting.
We're just chatting.
Okay. The city approached us, I would say, early winter, and said, because of New Orleans North and Fiesta en la Calle and all the other things that we do, and they said, what do you guys think? And we said, we're in. So we partnered up with the museum, the city. The partnerships in this were pretty incredible. All of the folks that we put together on this committee that really worked hard. Everybody took a piece of it, kind of owned it, and put this wonderful festival together as kind of the kickoff point of the entire restoration of the prison, because 100% of the funds raised tonight are going strictly to restoration of the prison.
That's great. The generators are on. The lights are going to be going on here in a little bit. You have more lights than I've ever seen at any event.
38 light structures. That was a really big issue. I don't know if people can understand. There's no electricity here. There's no water here. So in trying to put this together and put the infrastructure together, okay, so think about this. We lit up everything inside, but we have all of the parking lots that we've been so graciously given to use. Those all had to be lit up too. So we have 38 light structures in here just to keep this place lit up when it gets dark tonight.
Yeah, plenty of parking, but now it's an interesting factoid for you, okay? There is parking here.
Yes.
On premise, across the street, in the area, but there's also shuttles.
There is. The University of St. Francis so graciously lent us their shuttles. So in any of the parking lots in the surrounding areas that people park in, they're picked up by a shuttle, they're brought to the front gate, and people can walk in, and they will be taken back at the end of the evening to their parking lot.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to some of the folks who are here tonight, because some are local, many, I recognize many faces,
Sure.
but others are coming from the world.
Yes. The furthest I heard is a couple from Georgia are coming tonight because
Georgia, Russia.
no, Georgia, the state, and they wanted to be a part of this. We had a lot of calls from former wardens that are coming from all over to be just back on the land and back on the property, and they have such great stories, and they're very historical. It's so interesting you could just sit and talk to them all day. Yeah, because it's so amazing what they lived through and what they experienced in these walls.
Yeah. Well, 160 years of stories and memories and ghosts, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We did have a wonderful opportunity to fly out to Mansfield, Ohio to see what they did, and that's where Shawshank was filmed. So we got to go through their structure and what they've done. Now, they've been open about 20 years. So what they've been able to do, but they have huge festivals, huge, events on their property that people come in and tens of thousands of people walk through, but their big thing was paranormal. Now, I'm not a huge, don't know a lot about that, but they were telling me people spend $1,200 a night with their little ghost wands to go through these buildings, and I'm like, there is no way in God's green earth that I would ever do such a thing.
Well, I'm hearing some noise back here in the old fire station.
I know, right?
These guys climbing on board a fire engine back there, and there's no fire engine.
Well, if you do walk through here, you do kind of feel a little creepy.
I would feel claustrophobic.
Yeah,
is,
I know.
Is the feeling you get.
I know.
This is the Great Prison Break-In. Mary Jaworski, president of the Joliet Area Chamber of Commerce. Busy lady tonight and 51 and a half weeks of the year.
Yeah.
Because she does take a few days off.
Not
I think they
very
let you
many.
do that. I know.
Not very
So
many.
I'm going to put you on the spot, and if you leave a name out or two, we'll put it up on the screen.
Okay.
Who are some of the folks? Not everyone, because there's 500 volunteers or more.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But some of the folks who are integral with the chamber, with the museum, and the committee. And I talked to Quinn Adamowski and forced him to talk about Catherine Adamowski also.
Who's
No,
awesome.
I'm kidding.
She's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. I would say the number one group that came in here and really helped make this happen was the workers from the city of Joliet. They came in here and in a very short time, they put all this fencing up because you have to protect, first of all, you don't want people to get hurt.
Right.
And second of all, you have to protect these buildings because they're not safe yet. Hopefully someday they will be, and people will be able to roam in and out, but now they're not. So we got the fencing, and this fencing went up in a very short amount of time, and those men helped unbelievably. So, and that took a lot off of the committee because there's so many other things that had to be done.
You know, kudos to the City of Joliet Public Works, because not only this event,
Oh gosh,
but
I
many of
agree.
your events
And many of yours.
and the City Center Partnership events, the city workers are out there before, during, and after, set up, take down, all that kind of stuff.
Garbage.
And garbage,
Yeah.
Trash, let's call it trash.
Yeah,
Trash. And all of those things are done by the City of Joliet. And as Quinn mentioned earlier, our unions here have been phenomenal as well.
You know, on the cleanup side of it, the unions that came in here and those men and women that came in and donated their time to pick weeds, literally pick weeds, and build things, to haul things out. We had a chamber day here, and what the people that showed up to work was crazy wonderful. So it's almost been this big city, everyone coming together in the city of Joliet to make this happen. It's just been so touching and wonderful to see it happen.
You've had great, I would say, significant press coverage of this in our local papers and on Joliet Patch and the other patches, as well as Channel 7, Channel 9, and I believe Fox also came out here and did their
They're
packages.
coming tonight. Channel 7 News is coming tonight. We have quite a few of the media outlets coming out tonight just to see it, which is great. I mean, it shows you how important this is. You know, we're going to be the next Alcatraz. This is going to be an awesome place one day. You and I probably won't be here to see it, but
You'll be here. You'll be here.
I really believe that this is going to be a wonderful historic venue that will just come alive as the years go by.
I mentioned earlier, because I've said this for years about this being the Alcatraz of the Midwest, and Collins Street will be one of the great gateways into Joliet.
And it's going to just evolve. This whole thing's going to evolve, and this is going to be a pretty wonderful thing down the road.
The Collins Street Neighborhood Council met last week, and they're very much aware. And I sent a group here last Saturday to volunteer and work. And this is a real special neighborhood too. It's a great Hispanic neighborhood with, you feel like you're in Cancun in certain areas of Collins Street. Great food, great shops, great families. But the event like this, I think on an annual basis, if I have the number correct from the Joliet Historical Museum, we have in excess of 25,000 tourists before any of this coming to Joliet.
Right. You know what? And I before I forget this, I have to give a great shout out to Greg Kerbolt and his staff. But about 2 weeks ago, we thought it would be really cool to have some boards made up with the historic pictures and so on and so forth. And if you walk down this pathway, it's almost very somber. It's not very loud. People are very quiet, and they're reading each board of the history. And Greg did a phenomenal job putting that together. So if you have an opportunity to read those, make sure that you do.
Yeah. And the other, there's so many things to see here, inside, on site. We have our sponsors. We have Hawk. We have Darcy. Roman Rogers ran Boosie Bank. And food vendors are out here. And who am I? Oh, I know. The artists are here as well.
Yes, the artists are here as well. And they took pieces from all these buildings and made artwork with them, and they're selling them here, and that money's also going back to restoration. So like I said, it's a whole big effort from all these folks in Joliet to make this happen. That's pretty cool.
It is, as I said in the opening of the interview, this is a day of history for Joliet, because what's going to take place here is this is going to be the #1 tourist attraction, then Rialto, and then you're going to have the Joliet Historical Museum, and then you'll have the Bessemer ovens that are also in this area. And probably something takes place as well with the old steel mills. And then down the road just a little bit, we have Chicagoland Speedway. Across the highway from them, we have the Autobahn. Joliet is that title in town.
It's been a lot of fun being part of this. And it is, you're right. We have so many cool things going on here, and it just keeps getting better and better.
And for years and years and years, it was the Rialto Theater, which still is the lady, and we're thrilled to death to have all of these things. You missed this event, don't miss the next one, and there'll be tours coming up to be announced later on.
I believe they start next week.
Well, there you go.
From what I understood today, they start next week.
Okay, this is August 25th.
Right.
So, get your calendar out and get your people together and get your GPS wherever you're watching this, because this goes on YouTube as well as Channel 6 and Comcast and AT&T and all the rest of those different, wherever you're watching us, thank you, and we'll see you soon. Mary, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, sorry.
We are back again, and we are having a ball out here. The day of historic history taking place in Joliet, Illinois, at the Collins Street Prison. And over the right shoulder of our camera guy, Dick Schuster, I'm looking at the $65,000 Sally door that they had opened for the Blues Brothers movie. And I don't know if they spent 65 grand again
I don't know.
to reopen it.
No.
Lynn Lichtenauer is with us. She is with the Rialto Foundation Board and a plethora of other great organizations that she involved in. Plus, of course, you listen to her with Lynn, Mary, and Natalie on WJOL at 9:05 to 10 o'clock. Is that right?
9 to 10 every Friday on WJOL 1340. Those are our call letters. And I'm president of the Joliet Area Historical Museum Board.
That's why you're here.
How did you know?
I knew there was some reason why you were here.
Yes, and I will tell you, I couldn't be prouder. I am so proud of. I'm a loss for words, and that's not easy for me. Not very often. But as I look at the guests coming in, that very door that John Belushi walked out of in the Blues Brothers, there's a long line for the solitary confinement building, where in the Blues Brothers you see the saying, "It's never too late to mend."
Right.
And we have one cell block open. So, I mean, it is historic. And here's what I like to say. It's historic building, the prison. But that's the past. The present was the project that we've just put together with the community, with the building trades, the unions, with the city of Joliet. I mean, in the museum, it's just amazing. So that's the present. Now the future begins.
Yeah.
As we welcome all of these people in, they are support for us, because as we fundraise, this prison will be restored piece by piece.
Before any of this was going on, I believe the number from the Joliet Historical Museum on an annual basis averaged about 25,000 visitors, tourists coming through on Route 66.
Well, yes. Last year we had visitors from 40 different countries in every state in the Union. Now, also, as we were doing and working out here, people would see the parking lot was filled with cars, so they wanted to know what was going on. A group from China on a bus, a group from Germany on a bus. I welcomed people from the Netherlands, from Japan. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this is Joliet, Illinois, and we have visitors from all over the world.
Yeah, and there's going to be, earlier Mary Jaworski was saying what we were saying years ago. People did not want this known as the prison city for years, for decades. Get rid of that reputation, but the whole world knew us as, the up the river and Joliet prison and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And finally, we're taking advantage of that, and this is the beginning. Collins Street will be a gateway into Joliet, and Joliet, with the Rialto Theater, with the prison, with the Joliet Historical Museum, with Chicagoland Speedway, with the Rialto, with so many venues going on and more to be added, with restaurants and bars and entertainment. It's going to be called the title in town.
The title in town. Chicago has nothing on us. But really, this is such a remarkable journey that we've all been on. And like you were saying, people from all over will come to Joliet, and I have to tell you, the prison city, the prison town, whatever you want to call it. My former position was Director of Alumni Relations for Joliet Township High School, and in going back into their archives, I found that before the Joliet football team became the Steelmen, they were known as the Prison City Boys. That was the football team, the Prison City Boys.
And now you know.
And now
you know.
That's right. That's the rest of the story.
Thank you, Paul Harvey. Well, we're going to continue with our interviews, and coming up someday soon, we're going to do a special on Lynn Lichtenauer, because she has so many stories and has been so great for Joliet, Will County, for culture, for arts, for theater here in the Joliet area. We're going to knock on her door, open that door up, and we're going to showcase Lynn Lichtenauer here on Channel 6 very, very soon.
And you know the title of my book, because everybody's encouraging me to.
Oh.
The title of my book is I'd Rather Be Dragged Through Cactus Naked.
I knew she was going to say that. And that's the name of the book. And we'll tell you when and where you can pick that book up at. All right, well, we're going to continue with our interviews. I see one of the old wardens in his cavalry hat. I'm going to see if I can get him before he gets too far away. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, Richard Fredrickson, and Millie Schuster and Dick Schuster. I love seeing all three of you. Do I have to leave here? It's nice and cool here.
Well, you don't, actually. No.
I'll go get you someone
You know
else.
what? It's cooling off. It's getting a little darker, and it's cooling off.
Do you want Dennis Wolf?
Yeah, if we could get... Well, Dennis Wolf is out there, but there's another one also with the black cavalry hat on.
Oh, all right.
He was on Channel 6 at the museum, I believe. I've watched his...
Should I send him over?
Could you do that?
I would be happy
Be great.
to.
And tell the security guy to open the gate for him because he's on a
Get
walker.
off camera as I walk away.
Okay, hey, we'll do. Well, we continue with our interviews, and it's a great... I don't know if you'll watch Channel 6. You should. You're watching it right now. A few years ago, there was a special with Duke Cartwright, Major Duke Cartwright, here at the Collins Street Prison. That show was at the Joliet Historical Museum. I think Elaine Stonich was the producer of that particular show with Millie and Dick doing the camera work on it. I've watched it, and then as I was talking with Lynn Lichtenauer, I spy this gentleman coming down the, I don't know what you'd call that down there. What would they call that by the Sallyport? Sallyport 2, and I was telling the audience, Duke, that when they did the Blues Brothers, am I correct, it cost about 65 grand to open that thing up?
And they used it for one day to open it up and let the people in and out, closed it down, and it hadn't been open since until now.
You did a great job. In fact, I think they're replaying that on Channel 6 this week, because I watched it just a few days ago. And so catch it if you can, because it's a great show. It tells you a lot more than we'll have time to do here about the interior of this place. But what is your impression of today, looking at all these people in the yard?
I can't understand why all these people would come out today and spend all this good money when they wouldn't support us when we were actually operating.
Yeah, it's a mystery to me as well. Why would they come out, spend $35 and $40 to come out today when the place really was looking good just a few years ago?
Right. It was looking a lot better than it did today, but it's still a lot better than it was that you see in the old movies where we still had all the fences and everything up, getting deteriorated, the fence with the paint's falling off the walls. It was in bad shape.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a whole bundle of money to get it back to where it'll be halfway decent.
We've had some great volunteers out here. The Union, the City of Joliet have done a great job. Where we're standing here, if you can look up, there's broken windows, and this whole place was trashed with glass. The whole place was really trashed, and they've cleaned it up to a certain point. They got a long way to go, but all the money today that folks are paying to get in here goes to the restoration of the Collins Street Prison. Just kind of briefly, tell me a little bit about the prison population back in your day. You started out at the age of 23, I believe.
I started out at 23 in 1960, and I retired at January the 1st of 1994. I started as a guard at Stateville. Back in those days, 75% of the population was crime against property. When I left in 94, the majority of the crime was crime against people. It just made a complete reverse. And the difference back when I was started out, you had a lot of older people, inmates. Today, they're all young kids. They got nothing else to do on the streets except getting in trouble. And they wind up in places such as we're looking at right now. It's bad. But at any rate, I started as a guard in 1960, I was a sergeant in 62, a lieutenant in 63. I was a shift commander in 64, and I was all the way up until 1970. 1970 they promoted me to captain because I had 115 people under my jurisdiction. They figured that's too many people for me to be watching as a lieutenant, so they made me a captain. At any rate, 1973 we had a riot in B House at Stateville where they took 10 hostages. I led 10 guys back into the prison to get them back out. We got them all back out and we didn't lose anybody. Nobody got killed. 75 they had a riot here at Joliet at the West Cell House where they took it over. Again, another 10 hostages. They sent me over from Stateville to run the riot squad from over here to get them back, which we did. We got all 10 hostages out. Nobody got killed. Everybody got safe. 2 months later, they made me a major. I assumed because of what we'd done then, I don't know any different. I was a major then until 1993, December 31st of 1993 when I retired. It's a completely different world than what it was when I started, but I survived. We had a guy went out of that building, a guy by the name of Francis Scott. The first time he tried to escape, he went over the wall, or tried to go over the wall right back here behind the dormitory. The second time, about a month later, he got out of that building and tried to get over that sally port right there. He jumped up on the top. And they wouldn't, the guy up in the tower wouldn't shoot him. I kept telling him to shoot and he wouldn't do it. So they were building a new hospital back here. We started throwing bricks at the guy and rocks.
Because you couldn't shoot him.
No, finally, one of us hit him, I don't know who it was, knocked him down, we pulled him down off of there, pulled him down off the wire, put him in a car and took him to Menard, which is 300 miles south of here. We got down there about midnight. The warden was there waiting on us. They put him in a cell and welded the door shut. He said, now let's see you get out of there.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. You're wearing the Korean War veteran hat and looking good on you. Duke, thank you so much, and enjoy the concerts.
I certainly will. Thank you.
I was looking high and looking low, and I finally found Steve Jones, our Director of Development, City of Joliet. And you still have the Deputy City Manager job?
Oh, I do it all, Richard. I'm Deputy City Manager and Economic Development Director.
And he is, remember the Andy Frey and Ushers? Of course you do. He's the Andy Frey and Usher at the exit of, what is that horrible
Actually,
building?
the entry of solitary confinement. So I'm trying to do a little bit of spiel. You know, 8 or 10 people come together. I'll tell them about the building, give them a little history of the prison, and just help make it a little more valuable.
That's solitary confinement.
Yeah, the first floor was solitary confinement, and actually the second floor was death row.
Now, you didn't tell me that.
Your reaction is exactly the same reaction I've had with several of those folks.
I did not know that.
Yes.
The day has finally come. August 25th, long but really short time.
It's awesome. I mean, we have had so many citizen volunteers, the trades, businesses. The outpouring of effort on this thing has been not even measurable. And you know, it's here, but the point is we still have a lot of work to do. The event is here. Tours have started with museum members. We're going to now start the whole private tours for folks, the Route 66 visitors, folks from the Chicago area, out of state, wherever. But there's so much interest in this prison. As you know, you can't sit in the parking lot for half an hour without having someone from another country come in. Yesterday, I had a call, I was working here, someone said, can you give 4 people from France a tour? I said, you missed it by a day of our big event, but I gave them a tour. There's this incredible interest, and this is just unsolicited interest. When we start marketing this thing and it's organized and the tour groups and the buses are ready, that's when the real potential of this asset comes comes true.
Yeah, we've said in months ago, years ago, this will someday be the Alcatraz of the Midwest. I truly believe it will be.
I do too. We had the opportunity to go to the Ohio State Reformatory, which is where Shawshank Redemption was filmed. And that's a nice parallel to this. The state gave it up, movie kind of established its popularity, and then a not-for-profit entity took it over to turn it into tourism. And they're making several $1 million net annually, which all that money goes right back into the restoration. So we see events like this, whether it's concerts, whether it's tours. We actually have a Frisbee golf tournament that's being scheduled. I believe it's in September. We've had crazy tactical training. We're getting into some paranormal stuff. I mean, if anyone has an event that sort of, it could accent what's here without diminishing the integrity of this place. I mean, this is a prison, a house of pain. But at the same point in time, there's history here. There's that public curiosity, I guess is how you describe it. And we want to maximize that because every dollar that's made is going to right into keeping this place alive.
And it has an impact on the entire city of Joliet, the entire county of Will, because now Joliet has the prison, the Rialto Theater, the Bessemer Ovens, the Joliet Historical Museum, Chicagoland Speedway, the Autobahn, and Slammers Field. No, that's not the name of it. What's the name of it?
Joliet Route 66 Stadium, Richard.
I knew that. I wanted him to have the opportunity to showcase our great baseball field, which is fantastic, by the way, with its new turf. And they'll have, in 2019, they're going to have some other events on there, too, aside from just baseball.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I've always said, economic development, people think of economic development as you bring businesses and, new stores and all that. But tourism is economic development. The fact that we have all these attractions, I always use the term of it's like a slice of pie. There's a slice here for every interest in Joliet. We're just a small version of Chicago. Whether it's sports, whether it's architecture, whether it's events, whether it's music, we're a small version of Chicago. And to literally have the ability to market this community as an asset and to have something to deliver, it's going to keep people coming here. And I was a little skeptical when I first came. I've been with the city of Joliet for about 3 years. I was a little skeptical when I kept hearing about all these international visitors on Route 66. I'm like, yeah, right. I see it. I see it every day. It's a real thing. And I think that's something that we really underestimate. We think of Route 66 as this old roadway. A lot of foreign visitors and national visitors think of it as an experience. And by doing things with the prison and tourism and marketing these assets, we're giving them the experience they're looking for, even if we think of it as just a roadway. And it's business.
It is business, and it's great business, and it's today, August 25th, is a day that'll live forever in the history annals of Joliet and Will County. Thanks to Steve and the committees, the subcommittees, and all the folks from the Chamber to the Historical Museum to the Public Works Department. And of course, now that I've done this, I'm going to miss people. But all you volunteers, 500 plus, who may be watching us right now, I know you're out in the field right now enjoying some of the concert, because we've got the Mayor's Band, Hot Mess, coming up. We've got the Petty Cash. It's Tom Petty and Johnny Cash band, a tribute band. And then M&R Rush was a great Chicagoland classic rock. And then coming in with their own squad car will be the
Blues Brothers.
And what a great ending to a fantastic night. And you'll be there, and we'll join you. And I'm going to join Steve right now as we angle back, because people are going in the exit. I can see them rather than going out of the exit.
Sneak in. Yeah, I got to get back to work here. Well, thank you, Richard. I appreciate it.
Thank you for all you do for Joliet. Steve Jones, our Economic Development Director of the City of Joliet. And by the way, he bikes here about once a week. From LaGrange to Joliet. Try that sometime. Take care. We finally found the warden. And, there's, 2,000 people, 3,000 people here. And Greg Peerbolt, the director of the Joliet Historical Museum and sort of the icon of this whole project, sent Dan Bossy over here. Dan, good to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Fredrickson.
Now, there's Richard now. That's Richard. See, now let me ask you this. They told me you're the warden, but you didn't walk in here as a warden. So when did you start working out here at the Collins Street Prison?
Well, I started working at Stateville in 1967 as a guard.
Do they always do that? First go to Stateville first and then here?
No, it just happened that that's what I did. I hired in 1967 as a guard, and then 6 months later, I was appointed in charge, a supervisor of the basic education program for inmates at Stateville. That was when we had inmate teachers rather than civilian teachers.
Really?
Yes, we had inmates teaching inmates in every classroom.
Interesting. And was that also the era when they had the workshops, they had the agribusiness going on as well, or not? Was that before
the
that?
Honor Farm everything was fully functional then. Frank Pate was the warden when I hired in 1967. And after 2 years of supervising the educational program, I became his administrative assistant in 1970.
So from 1960s into the 70s, before you get to about the time you retire and become warden, what changes took place here at Collins Street Prison in terms of the prisoners? What kind of prisoners were there when you were a guard? What kind of prisoners were there when you were moving up in rank but not yet a warden?
In the late 60s, early 70s, Joliet was a maximum security prison, as was Stateville, Pontiac, and Menard. Those were the 4 maximum security prisons at that time. Joliet was part of the Stateville Correctional Complex, all under one warden back in the 60s. And in the early 70s then, Joliet had his first warden appointed and was a separate institution in the early 70s, a standalone institution. And they sent maximum security inmates here, but maximum security inmates who could not go into general population. They were in protective custody, so to speak. They were the inmates who were younger. They were adults, but they were younger adults. Inmates who were not gang involved, and inmates who, needed protection from the predators that were in the maximum security prisons. So that's how Joliet got its identity, as there were 2 cell houses, the East and West cell house. The West cell house housed the general population inmates who were the protective custody inmates. The East cell house, now at that time, Joliet, as well as a diagnostic center just across the street from us, that was the reception center for the northern counties in the state of Illinois. All inmates sentenced to the Department of Corrections, and they had to have been sentenced to 1 year or more, a felony. All felons from the northern part of the state would come here for a 4 to 6 week orientation process, housed in the East Cell House, and at the end of that processing, they would be sent to another prison in Illinois, dependent on their sentence, criminal history, the crime they committed, other behavioral issues that we would look at.
So today in 2018, Stateville sort of plays that role now.
Stateville, the reception center was built, the new reception center at Stateville was built in the late 1990s, early 2000.
So they're doing what you did back in the 70s?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like? What was it like being warden of this place?
Well, I've been a warden here. I've been an assistant warden at Stateville. I was an assistant warden of the Honor Farm at Stateville that you spoke about earlier. I retired as a warden at the Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln, Illinois, which was a medium security institution. And at one time I was in charge of the construction unit. I was the capital program unit manager in the early 80s when the state of Illinois began its building program, adding more prisons because of the exploding prison population. For 4 years I oversaw that, and when I retired there were 28 prisons in the state of Illinois. When I hired in, there were 6 or 7 prisons in the state of Illinois.
So how many now? You know?
I've been retired for 20 years.
I'm going to say there's probably about 25.
I think you're probably right. You've probably done your homework.
I might have.
I know they closed Tams and they closed Dwight, which was the female institution, and I don't know if they closed any others.
Well, if you got out in that yard earlier, right? You were out there?
I walked around there for about 5 minutes.
What do you think about all these people out in the yard where there's mostly cons?
it's a different environment today, obviously. I retired in 1999 from the state. They closed Joliet in 2002. Obviously, any facility, whether it's a prison, a factory, a residence, if you don't take care of it, it's going to physically deteriorate. And obviously, you can see that's what's happened here.
It did. As we conclude our interview with the former warden of Collins Street Prison, let's take a look at some of that damage that was done by vandals when this place was wide open to what they call the urban explorers. Take a look. Well, that was pretty bad. And the tour is going to begin this week, but those will not be the buildings you'll be touring. You'll tour the property and you'll tour some of the secure buildings, but in the future, you'll get an opportunity to go to those buildings as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Richard?
Take care. You know, you never know who you're going to meet in prison. And although I should have guessed, the city manager of the city of Lockport is here primarily to spy. No. Ben, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Richard. Thank
Good
you.
Good friend, been around forever. Well, he was with Joliet for many, many years.
10 years, yeah.
10 years with tourism.
Yep.
And during some real challenging times. And that was also during the times when they said, don't talk about the prison.
Yeah,
Well, let's not have that reputation, and talk about that at all. But you did a great job with Joliet, but my God, Lockport is just, it's blossoming, it's expanding, it's exciting.
Thank you.
And what do you think this prison opening is going to, what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on Lockport?
Sure, a very positive one. I was fortunate enough, 10 years ago to serve on the Urban Land Institute performance review of this property and what to do with it someday. And we were making recommendations similar to this back then, and it's just great to see it come to fruition. And yes, it will certainly have an economic impact for Joliet and for Lockport and other surrounding communities. You have visitors coming in from all over the world, and certainly people from even in the backyards of Joliet that want to see the history and the lore here and all the folklore of the movies that have been filmed here and the notable residents that have been here from time to time, over the last 100 years. And it just brings people in that are interested. So I hope they take this opportunity to make this revenue on this special event this weekend, turn it into more opportunities to open up and stabilize some of the buildings. I've probably been in here about 15 times in the last 15 years, and it's been sad to see the deplorable conditions that are starting to happen inside some of these buildings.
Well, They have done a phenomenal job so far to a point. They have a lot of work to do. Most of the buildings you cannot go into right now, but they've got the solitary confinement. I think the death house is open, and there's another cell house that's open for the folks coming in here today.
The original cell house, where there was, I believe, in the 1850s or late 1880s, is here and is open. And the mural on the floor in the death row, where it says "Never too late to mend," is a beautiful piece of artwork, and I'm glad that vandals never got to that. I mean, it's unfortunate to see vandals did get into some of the other buildings and unfortunately put up their own artwork. But I think having the funding that's going to stabilize and make those repairs will be, a testament to what it can be again. I always looked at it as our Alcatraz. People will show up and pay $25 to come in all day long, and I look forward to the partnership with the city of Joliet and the museum, and certainly Lockport would embrace it as well. I mean, people are going to dine in downtown Lockport as well as they're going to dine in downtown Joliet, and so this fixture here on Collins Street is going to be part of both of the city's future for a long time. There's always been an argument, is some of this limestone here Lockport limestone or is it Joliet limestone? So the arguments still go on between the mayors, and so irregardless, it's a wonderful piece of history, and I'm glad to see the community come together for it.
It's Will County granite, by the way.
It is Will County.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. Nice to see you.
Ben
Thank you.
Benson, the
Appreciate
city
it.
manager of the city of Lockport,
Yep.
and the impact that this prison is going to have on all of Will County.
You bet. Thank you.
Greg Pierboat, remember that name. August 25th, remember that date. Collins Street Prison, remember that place. Are we done? Greg, first of all, congratulations, man. I know that I've seen you running, going crazy for not just weeks, but literally months, where you're supposed to be running a museum, and you're running a prison and a museum. And where were you before Joliet?
Before Joliet, I was in Mount Prospect by way of the Kankakee County Museum, where I grew up.
Was it as exciting as what you're doing now?
This is a little more exciting. Don't tell them that.
I won't. We won't show that to anywhere near Kankakee. Well, I guess one of the first questions, I mean, I've gone through a lot of people, and I don't want to keep asking the same questions, but why the effort? People, we talked with Ben Benson, who's the city manager of Lockport, who was on the land use committee 10 years ago, and they talked about this place. And then we know about all the vandalism and the state kind of walking away from this place, et cetera, et cetera. And we've showed the folks some of the damage and vandalism and what is going on here today. But why? Why the effort? Why do what you're doing? Why? I mean, just leave it. The state just left it. Why not just leave it?
Well, I think this is just an undeniable part of the history of our community. It's actually the eve of the bicentennial of the state of Illinois, and as I'm going to remark later, 4/5 of our entire state history passed by these walls. Joliet was founded in 1852, incorporated, and the prison came in 1850. So I think it did take a little bit of abuse and neglect. I think there was the you don't know what you got till it's gone factor, but I think everyone with the attendance night, with the volunteerism, with the level of sponsorships and ownership of our trade unions, our businesses, the city of Joliet, I think it was just time. It was time.
Yeah. The timing is perfect. It didn't happen overnight. I know the last, maybe the last 8 months have been really power months. Yeah. But prior to that, there were meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings, going back to when the State Senator McGuire was involved with it, and then it kind of transferred to numerous committees, all volunteer, I might add, both with the Joliet Chamber, with the museum, and City Center Partnership, the City of Joliet, and it's been all the pieces of the puzzle to put together for this great event tonight.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, because I'm really tired. So
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I mean, this is the culmination of the efforts of hundreds and probably thousands of people over many years. we're just in the right place and the right time now. And I mean, we could go on for a million reasons, say why didn't it happen, but it's happening tonight, and it's special. It feels fateful. It's surreal in a way, but it's just incredible, and it's just so moving. Yeah.
I can hear the emotion in his voice about this whole place. And, I don't care if you're off an acre or two, but what is the acreage of this, the whole place, the prison across the street, the lake, all of it?
In total, you got about 160 acres between the green space, the women's facility across the street. There's about 16 acres inside the walls here, another 3 or 4 of the warehouses, the property, the parking. So this is a treasure. The Forest Preserve District has kind of been interested in some of that green space, and they recently did some drone captures. They rolled them on their Facebook page, and the reaction was like, wow, where is that at? Like, that's on the east side of Joliet, back by the prison. Just this beautiful rolling terrain, and there is a beauty out here. It's gritty, it's challenging history, but it's Joliet, man. It's us.
It is Joliet. In the background, you hear M&R Rush, I believe, and we have Hot Mess was playing earlier. You missed all of that, but here's what you do not need to miss. Coming up this coming week, what's happening here at the prison?
Well, we're not stopping. We're starting tours Tuesday. We had just some quiet, soft opens we did through our membership to kind of focus group, test them out. We're ready to go public with those now, so you can go to JolietMuseum.org, book your tickets for tours. We're going to be running them 3 times a week, 2 times a day, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, going through October. So we're all in.
Great. How much are the tickets?
Tickets are $20 for general public, and City of Joliet and museum members get a discount of $5, so $15 a ticket. About an hour and a half tour. A lot of our docents are actually former officers here, so you will hear some stories.
Yeah, well, we had Duke Cartwright on earlier. We had Warden Bossy on here earlier, and there are stories about this place. Docents will be telling you that, guiding you through the prison. All takes place next week, this coming week, actually, as we'll probably air. Yeah, it'll be happening. So don't miss out on that, and tell your friends. And I will tell you that the European visitors will beat you here if you don't get yourself over here. Okay, right. Greg, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Take care. You're not going to believe this, but people are breaking into this prison on Collins Street in Joliet by the thousands. We found a nice quiet little place in front of the old fire station, and I also found someone who's been digging around this place with her cadre and finding things, and I'm going to I'm going to tell you who she is. It's Erin Blazer, and I have no idea what she's doing here, but you have a tent and you have art that is unique. What is the name of your secret group?
It is called the Old Joliet Prison Burnt District Artists.
See, that's why I had her say all of that, because there's a long title. Where are you from?
I'm born and raised here in Joliet.
Joliet, imagine that. One of the things you're going to discover if you've just moved into Will County, Joliet, this city and this county is so gifted in the world of art and culture and entertainment. It truly, truly is. And this is one of the gifts right here. President of the organization, I might also add, correct?
Of the art movement, yes. So, and we are a separate identity right at this point, but many of our artists are a part of the art movement.
Well, I mean, I saw Sue Regis back there, who's also the art movement incorporated as well.
And she has been just a driving force in this, and she's actually the head chair of the Visual Arts Committee of the Prison Coalition.
So what are we going to see? There's a white tent. Folks are coming in over that right shoulder, over there where you can't see. People are coming in, and they go right by your tent. But a ton of people are stopping by.
Right, it's exciting to see because it's neat for them to see what we have pulled out of the burnt buildings and how our interpretations are with the materials that we use. Some of us use it more literal, and some of us are using it more interpretive to tell a story and a history of the prison. So it's really neat to see the mixture of the materials and what we feel strong with. Like some of us are more stronger with metal, painting, other materials.
So what, did you do a piece yourself?
Yes, I did.
Well, tell me about yours.
Okay, well, I did 2 pieces, and one of mine, I found a typewriter in the building over there, and I was pulling it out of the rubble, and it started disintegrating on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all these components in these pieces? Well, I decided to pick them up. I put all the pieces in a bucket, but the area where the typewriter, where you would pull a piece of paper out of when you were finished, stayed in contact. And I thought, why not? Let's pull a piece of canvas through it. And I created a tapestry of all the pieces that had fallen out while I was trying to pull it out of the rubble. And I also did some silk screening of stone and steel, because this is the city of stone and steel. And yep.
Yeah. So we're going to take a look at that before we're done. We'll take a close-up look at your piece and a few of the others in the tent over there. We thank you. I know you're going to continue doing this.
Absolutely.
And this is just for today. It's a great event, great time in history for us in Joliet. And 2 new organizations, really, both are new, the Art Movement Incorporated and, let me see if I can read that sign, the Joliet Prison, get out of the way, I can't see it. I can't, the Burnt District Artists, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you get it. It's a long name.
The teleprompter is about a quarter of a mile away, so it's difficult, but you are not difficult to see. Thank you so much, and the best of luck. And you have a lot of people over there waiting for you.
Exciting.
Okay, take care. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You never know who you will meet in prison. David Hales, City Manager, City of Joliet here, and going to have a great time. I don't know if that's the Mayor's Hot Mess playing right now, or M&R Rush, or the Petty Cash Band. I have no idea. Is it Petty Cash right now?
Yeah.
Good. And we're in front of the old fire station here on Collins Street, and directly behind the cameras is a Sally Port that cost $65,000 back in the Blues Brothers movie to open. I was wondering how they got it reopened, because they did weld that thing after the movie. So I don't think it was 65 grand though. Because we've had the City of Joliet Public Works, we've had unions, we've had volunteers, over 500 people who have come out here and have done a phenomenal job in cleaning the place up. And tourism starts next week, don't forget that. And you'll have to go on, I don't know where you go, the Joliet,
I think it's JolietPrison.org.
there you go.
Joliet
That's why I had you on
Prison.org.
here. That's why I had you on here. So what is the impact of Joliet, City of, with this August 25th event, and what comes after?
You know, if anything, I think we haven't seen the ultimate, long-term, I think, amazing impact that this prison is going to have on the city. And as you say, you know, we couldn't even get to this particular day without thousands of volunteers. I was here one Saturday and we were working, but I think the next Saturday people were getting poison ivy. So there's a little risk.
Long pants, you're the brave one.
Right. But it's amazing, and I think over time, as we continue to refurbish some of these facilities to tell more stories about who was here, it'll just continue to be, I think, a focal point for visitors. And we don't realize, you know, how many visitors outside the state or outside the country will continue to come here. So I think it's just an awesome, and my thanks to Mayor Odekirk and others who negotiated this 5-year lease with the state of Illinois, and hopefully that will turn into a property transfer from the state to the city of Joliet, so that we can truly have long-term control of the property.
Should be exciting years to come. David Hale, City Manager.
Well, one of the things I got to tell you,
Yes.
you know, it's the thing I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
is the Illinois Paranormal Society called, and they are wanting to come in and start to do some paranormal research. So all the people that have an interest in ghost hunting or the world of paranormal, we've got several different groups, so we'll be here just in the next couple of months trying to see who they might meet. you know, that's going to cross over from the land of the dead and tell us all about who's still haunting this place.
Let me tell you something. One of the reasons I said, well, let's get this over with and move out of here is because this is the old fire station.
Right.
And it's open. And when I was interviewing Lynn Lichtenauer earlier today, I heard movement back in here, like somebody climbing on top of a fire engine, and then there was a little clang of a bell back there. There's nothing in that room. So, if you're into paranormal, you will love coming out to the Collins Street Prison. Tours start next week. Don't forget to bring your neighbors, your friends, and make that call over to Sweden, Norway, Belgium, the Czech Republic, and on and on.
And just wait too, there'll be ghost tours starting, I bet you probably, if not later than, later this year. That's what I'm gonna sign up for.
I think you got something there. Thank you, David. David Hale is our city manager, City of Joliet.
Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. What do you think of that Joliet Correctional Facility, huh? Collins Street Prison, the old Joliet Prison, it's open for business. This is the first official event ever held at this. So 50 years from now, when Hollywood does a movie about this prison like they did about Shawshank, like they did about Alcatraz, you can say what? We were here. Yes, great job. Give yourselves a round of applause for supporting this process. It's an incredible night. My name is Scott Slocum from WJOL. Thanks for coming out. We really appreciate it. Again, I know there's long lines to get in to see the North Segregation Unit and the East Cell Block, but those will be open all night. So you can take your time, and if the lines go down, just go check it out because both are worth it. Read the different articles hung up on the wall as you walk in. Check out the Burnt District and also check out the amazing artwork that's done over there as well. This facility it's here for you. It's going to be here for the public very, very soon. This facility closed in 2002. The state of Illinois closed it and they said, you know what, we're going to put the intake center now at Stateville. So here it's sat. Joliet was home to Prison Break on Fox. We saw that. But they weren't the greatest neighbors in the world. A lot of the damage happened during that time. A lot of the architecture that you see was damaged by spray paint because some of the ways to get in were widely publicized on the internet. So this place got trashed basically. But thanks to the tireless efforts of the City of Joliet, the Joliet Area Historical Museum, and thousands of volunteers, you see it tonight in its full glory. You are actually sitting on the baseball field. The backstop is right over there, and the scoreboard is against the wall or against that little shed over there underneath the smokestack. So this is where the baseball games were played when this penitentiary was actually housing inmates. Before we go any further, I want to thank the Joliet Chamber of Commerce, the Joliet Region Chamber of Commerce, Mary Jaworski, Kelly Baltus, and the staff for putting tonight together. Let's hear it for them, Mary. Thank you. We really appreciate it. And the Joliet Area Historical Museum, which is going to be charged with running this place and running tours. You're going to be introduced to the executive director in just a little bit. But so many people helped out. But thanks to Liz McNeil and Mike Brick, let's give them a round of applause for everything that they've done. And of course, the city of Joliet, and I know the mayor's going to thank all the people from the city of Joliet, so I'm not leaving you out, but Mayor Odekirk's going to take care of them. So Busey Bank is a big sponsor of ours, Hawk Automotive and Darcy Buick GMC. Let's thank our great sponsors as well. Big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years from now, when Hollywood does a movie about us, there's going to be somebody that plays the mayor of Joliet that says, let's go ahead and put money into this facility. Let's donate our time. Let's donate our resources. I don't know who that person will be because he's probably not even born yet. But the mayor of Joliet now, who said, let's do it, let's get it going, is Bob Odekirk. Let's welcome him to the stage. Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. I want to welcome everyone to Joliet. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who deserve to be thanked for all the efforts they've done out here. I'll give you a real quick story of how we got to this point. As it was said, the prison closed in 2002. It was left vacant by the state of Illinois. Not much was happening on the grounds. The council, the city of Joliet, from time to time kicked around the idea of getting involved out here with the museum opening up for tourism, but no one ever took the step forward. Last summer, there were two highly publicized arsons that happened inside the prison. When you came in the gate, you could see the remnants of the fires that were lit. The second fire happened about a year ago. It was about 11 in the morning. I came out, was standing on Collins Street with our fire department, came back down to City Hall, called a meeting with Chris Regis, the Corporation Counsel, and the interim city manager, Marty Shanahan, and said enough is enough. The city can't wait for the state or blame the state. We have to get proactive, get involved. 2 weeks later, we were in Springfield, meeting with high-level officials from Governor Rauner's office in the Illinois Department of Corrections. A month or two after that, we brought back a deal to the Joliet City Council. And I do want to thank the City Council for taking this leap of faith. It was a little bit controversial at the time, but the council stood strong. They believed in Joliet. And what's happened since then has been unbelievable. The outpouring of support and volunteerism, it's been overwhelming as mayor. I think it's more than we ever could have expected. This is a great story for Joliet. It's a great night for Joliet. This had been a blighted area for 15 years. No longer. It's back on the tax rolls. It's going to bring people into our great city. It's something we're all proud of. So again, thank each and every one of you for coming out. Thank you to City Council, Joliet City Council members, and thank you for all the volunteers. Let's have a great night tonight. I would like to introduce one of the organizers and the volunteers. And again, there's hundreds of people, but he's a big part of our community. He was a big part of this cleanup effort, J.D. Ross.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The mayor asked if I would say just a few words about the significance of this project, and I'm happy to do it. First of all, when you think about all the positive vibes that are going on in this city right now in terms of important projects, this is just one we can add to the list. When I think about the Gateway Center, the renovation of the stadium, the Park District with the referendum and all the construction, there's just so many positive things going on. So that's my number one. Number two, for the museum, when you think about the mission of the museum, it is to preserve, to interpret, to teach history, and to celebrate our local history. What a beautiful facility in which to do that. Number three, we have some of the top colleges and universities in the state of Illinois right in this area. They will be able to use this facility as a teaching lab. You think about programs like corrections, criminal justice, art, and architecture. This is a living lab for those programs. Number four, I think this whole project can be an economic engine for the city of Joliet and the county of Will. People who have been to see the other prisons, Alcatraz, Eastern State, Pennsylvania, or the place where the Shawshank Redemption was filmed, will all tell you that they are economic drivers for their communities. And I just think that that is just so important. And finally, I think this is an erstwhile project because, frankly, it is limitless in its potential. When you think about things like New Salem Village or Williamsburg, Virginia, I can just look out here and picture that as being a part of our community. What a wonderful opportunity we have here. Thank you all so much for your participation. I would be remiss if I didn't take a minute to thank the hundreds, if not thousands of people who have volunteered. My friend Nick Macris and I have served as the volunteer co-chairs, but we couldn't have done it without all the people who participated. Now it's my privilege to introduce the Executive Director of the museum, Greg Peerbold. Greg?
Thank you, JD. Thank you for the drum shot, too. I appreciate it. Good evening. And with your spirit. I first wish to acknowledge all of the leadership here gathered on this stage, but I wish to single out Museum Board President Lynn Lichtenauer and Vice President and Co-Chair of our Old Joliet Prison Preservation Coalition, Quinn Adamowski, or as my wife refers to him, my BFF, my ride or die. I asked them to come forward and stand next to me. In addition to the entire museum board of directors, thank you to Mayor Bob Odenkirk and the City Council and City staff of Joliet, the Collins Street Task Force under State Representative Larry Walsh Jr. and Senator Pat McGuire, the Old Joliet Prison Preservation Coalition, the Great Prison Break-In Event Committee, and too many additional individuals, businesses, labor unions, and organizations to name here. This ongoing public-private partnership, a truly organic, authentic community partnership, has stewarded this project into the culmination of this historic evening. Like the arc of history itself, we owe this view tonight to the shoulders of those who have come before us, on which we firmly stand. My charge tonight was to talk about the history of the Old Joliet prison, but upon reflection, I don't think I need to say much, because you can see it and feel it all around you. This is one of those rare places that encompasses you in its history. The instant you pass through its iron bars, you are submerged. The Old Joliet prison has held inmates of the state of Illinois in an incredible, unbroken lineage dating from before the Civil War until after 9/11. On the eve of our bicentennial, it is worth noting that 4/5 of the entire history of the state of Illinois has passed before this institution. Throughout its history, the prison has been referred to by many names: Noble Baronial Castle, the Bastille, the Big House, where the term is reported to have originated, the pen, the dungeon, that living tomb, and my favorite, that great pile of masonry. Most often, too often for some, it was simply referred to as Joliet. In 1860, the Chicago Tribune, after observing the newly constructed prison, stated precisely, "We came away fully impressed with the belief that the important trusts at Joliet are in good hands, that there is growing a state work which will be, for long years to come, the pride of her citizens." Our ancestors wanted us, they expected us to be proud of this place. It was built of a desire to want to do better. But somewhere along the way, we chose to instead listen to voices which gradually became louder and louder. Those voices told us that this place was something to be ashamed of. It is true that while this site was born of reform, it has seen wholesale suffering and death itself. This caused some to go beyond mere shame, to ridicule and scorn. Whether a community or an individual, being continually admonished over something fundamental about yourself hurts. But a byproduct of hurt is strength and resolve. Another way to say that, it puts a chip on your shoulder. No matter a big city or a human being, a moment of realization inevitably arrives. You can choose to redecorate a chip on your shoulder into a badge of honor. In that moment, in this moment tonight, anything becomes possible. We gather here not just to celebrate a job well done, and certainly not the end of something. This is the beginning of something else much larger, what's already been referred to as a movement in our city, a movement which represents a new way of looking at ourselves and a new source of pride for our community. Perhaps, though, as we were told in 1860, the pride we might feel tonight is not so new after all. The power of old things to teach us new ways will never cease to amaze me. I wish to thank my wife, Lauren, for years of support and encouragement to stay the course on this project. True to fashion as a lifelong educator, she patiently taught and retaught me what I thought I already knew about vision, on nights where I felt defeated and swore I couldn't do it anymore. It helped, however, that on one of those very nights she told me she was pregnant. Talk about motivation. We've since had a beautiful little boy, Christian, who in addition to radical humility has given me a reinvigorated inspiration to work twice as hard as the day before and to be the best example to him that I can be. I'd be happy to be half of the example to my son that my parents were to me, even if I'm spending most of my days in a prison. In closing, I wish to also thank again the museum staff and our tremendous volunteer corps, whose dedication to our organization and its mission will always inspire and encourage me. Their work and dedication is on full display tonight. Thank you to the Joliet Region Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who unselfishly opened up their playbook to us to go beyond making sure that this night was memorable, that it was historic. Additionally, the Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitors Bureau, of which I am proud vice chairman, ensures that the tourism industry continues to be a top economic driver, not only in the state of Illinois, but in this city, in this neighborhood, and markets this site literally around the world. As someone recently told me, this is community. So with that said, I now want to thank you, yes, each of you, you and you and you, every single one of you. This evening, you've chosen to invest in our organization and to walk with us on these first critical steps as we begin this innovative, albeit long overdue journey to redefine ourselves in our city. Far from patting ourselves on the back, we issue and embrace a new challenge to ensure the old Joliet prison is honored and used in perpetuity. But tonight, we drink and we dream. Tomorrow, our journey marches forward as we stand even higher on those chipped shoulders of our ancestors. On behalf of all of us at the Joliet Area Historical Museum, thank you, and God bless the city of stone, steel, and champions, this old prison town, Joliet, Illinois. Don't ever lose that chip on your shoulder. It's now my pleasure to introduce State Representative Larry Walsh, Jr.
Well, how do I follow that? In all honesty, Greg did a great job. So, folks, first off, let me say welcome to the 86th District of the state of Illinois, because you're in it, and this is our home. Secondly, welcome to the city of Joliet, which is the home of Joliet Correctional Facility, and each and every one of you have been out here, have seen the Blues Brothers, where you entered into this building today, you've seen John Belushi walk out and get in Dan Aykroyd's car. That's what happened. So it's a huge, huge event here today. I just want to say thanks to all the people that have been involved with trying to make this happen. Now, I'm going to go back into history. This thing closed in 2002. In about 2006, Senator A.J. Wilhelmy at the time, and my predecessor, Representative Jack McGuire, started a College Street task force. And it was to deal with the closure of this facility and what do we do to redevelop it. And not only that, but U.S. Steel and along this College Street area. And when I came into office in 2012 and Pat McGuire came in 4 months or 3 months before I did, we picked that banter up, and it was a mainstay in what we needed to do for our district. And so in collaboration with the city of Joliet, with the Will County Forest Preserve, with Open Lands, with Joliet Park District, we've had multiple meetings about how we deal with this whole development as we go forward. We're seeing the first part of it here, folks. This is a huge, huge party. I drove in here today and I was absolutely surprised on the number of people that are willing to come and see this facility. I thank you. Let's keep it going. As we move forward, we've got more to do, whether it's forest preserve, park districts, softball fields. This side of Joliet needs to be developed, and we're going to continue to do that. And I'm glad you're all out here to support here tonight, but as we continue, let's continue that support. Let's continue that support to make this city, no matter if it's all the way over a County Line Road or if it's at Cherry Hill Road, we're all together. We're doing what we need to do for this city. So again, enjoy tonight. It's a great party. I'm looking for coming out here again in the near future to do another one. Quinn, Greg, let's have it happen. But with that said, there was no person more important with the College Street Task Force than Senator Pat McGuire. This guy put his heart and soul into making this facility usable for the residents of the city of Joliet and everybody around us. So, with further ado, my friend, my colleague, my mentor, Senator Pat McGuire.
Good evening. I thank Representative Larry Walsh, my friend and colleague, for that warm introduction. I'm an Illinois elected official. You're familiar with our state's history, so I gotta tell you, welcome to my hometown. Now, I want to join the chorus of thank yous. I appreciate having this opportunity to thank everybody who had a hand in getting the site into this condition. I want to say thank you to everybody who helped organize this event and is helping to conduct this event. And I want to thank you for coming out tonight. And there's been mention made of the Collins Street Task Force, which has been operating almost 13 years. As Larry mentioned and the mayor mentioned, this facility was closed by the state in 2002. The state just walked away and allowed it to fall to ruin. In October 2005, the Collins Street Task Force was established. It's still active, it's still working. Our next project is to turn the 130-some acres on the other side of Collins Street into recreational space, as Larry mentioned, hiking trails, ball fields. And there are several stalwart members of the Collins Street Task Force up here, and I'd like them to step forward so you can meet them. Hillary Dank from Congressman Bill Foster's office. Will County Board Member Denise Winfrey. Former Collins Street Task Force member and Joliet City Manager Jim Hock. The one and only Greg Peerbolt. The feminine version of the one and only Councilwoman Betty Gavin. And somewhere in this throng is one of the co-founders of the Collins Street Task Force. Last thing I'm going to say, please give it up. A.J. Wilhelmi is in the house.
Thank you, Senator McGuire. All right, M&R Rush is coming up next. But before we do that, we have what's called a ribbon cutting. Now, somebody forgot the big scissors. And this is way too big to put a ribbon across. So Mayor, come on up. We instead are going to do a toast to the Joliet Correctional Facility and the Collins Street Prison. So everybody, please get up, stand up, come on, stand up. We're doing a toast. Thank you. We're going to do a toast instead of a ribbon cutting. So everybody up. The mayor's going to lead us in a toast to the opening of the Joliet Correctional Facility. Mayor Odekirk.
Yeah, it's hard to do a ribbon cutting without a ribbon. So everyone raise your glasses. This is to the reopening of the Joliet prison.
Everybody drink. Ready? Go. He forgot that part because he had water. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thanks to everybody up here on the stage. Awesome job. Coming up next, it's M&R Rush and then the Blues Brothers. Enjoy your night. Go see North Seg. Go see the East Cell Block. Go see the incredible artwork done by the prison, or done by the, from artifacts found in the prison. Thanks to the food trucks. Thanks to the volunteers. Thank you for coming. M&R Rush is right now.